Hey everybody, thanks to all my viewers, thanks to all my subscribers. The political mantra videos that I've been putting out, I've uploaded the last one that I have for now. We are going to do more podcasts on that, and there will be more videos in the future, but it's just hard to get four working adults together on the same schedule. So in the meantime, I had a little reflection that I wanted to share. I thought it was interesting and kind of funny and helpful, I think. So a little while ago now, a month or so ago, my wife and I went bowling with some friends. And while we were there, we were having fun and not doing incredibly well. And we were there for a while, and there was a group that came in a little bit after us, next to us. And it was a group of guys who looks like they worked together or something. And they were having a great time. They were not by any means professional bowlers. I don't think they were doing better than us by any means. But they were having a good time. And there's this one guy there who, in particular, was just living it up, living in the moment, having a great time bowling, which was awesome. He had this really particular starting stance. And again, he's not a professional bowler. It's not like he's one of the guys whirling the ball or anything. He just had a stance that he liked, and he did it, and he had this walk up that was very unique. And when he did do decently well, he had a big celebration about it. And so I was watching him periodically throughout the night, and I started thinking about Boethius, as one does when bowling. Boethius and bowling naturally, obviously, go together. But I started thinking about Boethius, and this one particular section in Boethius, there's a lot of great things, but one thing that really stood out to me when I read it was his meditation regarding pride and pride in one's fame or achievements. And one of the things that stuck out to me about it was that it read so modern. We have this idea of like, those people who believed in the flat earth and thought the earth revolved around the sun and their whole world was the whole world and all this stuff. But you read this meditation that Boethius goes on, and it's like, we are this tiny little sliver occupying a really small section of the whole world, and that our whole world is this tiny little speck in an unimaginably immense cosmos. And it's like, he understood that. Wow, that's really cool. And yeah, it was just so prescient and so true, and it did what it was supposed to do. It was profoundly humbling. It was a meditation on the vanity, the fruitlessness of pride in fame, pride in achievement. And he talks about how, you're this great Roman official, let's say, but most people in the world, or even in your country, probably don't really know you, haven't really heard of you, and especially most people in your country over time are not going to have heard of you, much less the people in the whole world. And he compares a person's achievement to Rome itself. He's like, even this vast empire, like there are people in the world who don't have any knowledge of our existence as Rome. We think of ourselves as this, like the Roman society is the whole world, but there are literally people in the world at the same time as us who have no idea about what Rome is. So he puts Rome a step down and says, Rome is not all known. Rome is not all famous. And says, throughout time, it's even much less so. And so then what are you as a single person when the whole society is something that people on the world can be completely unaware of, and that's going to pass and die off and fade from memory? How much more so just a famous person within that society? And it's a lot longer than that, and it's just amazing in every way. It's very, very much worth reading, as is the whole book. But this meditation on pride, this meditation on insignificance, you might say, how passing our lives are, even if we're like the most famous person in the world, Even if we're the most famous society in the world, our fame is passing and certainly not all encompassing. And so, I'm watching this guy who's, would we even say mediocre bowler? Like, I don't know. This guy who is no famous bowler in a completely unspecial town, backwoods bowling alley, as with most bowling alleys, looks like it's still in the 80s, right? Nowhere near the special center of the world. This guy is just exuberant and flamboyant and just living his best life and celebrating. And so this thought about Boethius came into my mind, and I realized, I was like, this isn't the appropriate application for this meditation. But it's interesting to see why. Because if the meditation of our insignificance is just the truth, then it's always appropriate to apply it. And you really should look at this guy who's living up his life, having a great time bowling in a completely forgettable place, a completely forgettable time, with much more important things going around than his life and his night out bowling. You should look at that and say, well, let's pop that bubble, right? But I don't think that's appropriate. And I knew that at the time, but I had to start thinking about it in order to get there. So I'm reflecting on this and watching his celebrations, and Boethius is appropriate when you are proud. He's a medicine. This meditation he presents is a medicine for pride. This meditation engenders humility. And it's perfect and all well and good for that purpose. But I'm assuming, I don't know what was going on in his heart, in his mind, but I'm assuming he wasn't proud. Because I don't know. I think a proud person like me who needs Boethius wouldn't celebrate about my mediocre bowling because I'm too proud to be happy about the fact that I'm doing mediocre at bowling. So anyhow, my assumption is that he was not proud, and so Boethius is not for him in that moment. And so I realized he was sort of everything that a night out bowling should be. He was the fullest living extent for that moment of just living your best life, having a good time. And it was awesome. I was loving it. I was like, good for you, man. And I was like, what enables that? Because I believe Boethius. I believe all those things he said about us being passing and insignificant from that point of view, and our achievements being nothing compared to all of other people throughout time, compared to the whole cosmos, all that stuff. So why could I look at him in that moment and say, yes, amazing, keep doing what you're doing? And I realized it was memory eternal. It was the glory of God. It was the fact that, yes, we are insignificant in terms of ourselves, in terms of our own achievement, in terms of our own, what we would be proud over. But significance is given to us, meaning is given to us, not to validate our pride, but to bring glory to somehow this infinitely insignificant backwoods bowling alley of supreme mediocrity. Somehow the glory of God is there. Like, that infinite meaning is not does not have a poverty of meaning. It's not parsing out little doles of meaning to those who are at the pinnacle of excellence in particular areas at particular times. It's there and it's available all the time, everywhere. And so it's like this guy being so average, normal. I mean that as no insult to him. Not being a famous bowler, being a normal guy after work who's just got his whole own vibe, his whole own persona going, living his best life. That was everything it should be and was a good thing. And I was able to say, yes, that's amazing because of infinite glory, the sharing of infinite life, the sharing of glory from infinite life. The fact that God glorified that moment, the fact that God said, I approve of this guy being flamboyant and celebrating his little bowling night out with his friends. You know, if it was true that the world, that our lives were just this insignificant blip and they were passing and forgotten and ultimately meaningless and insignificant, then yeah, maybe I wouldn't go up and pop his bubble. Maybe I'd have more tact than that. But then I would sit there inside being like, oh yeah, well it's just sad, right? He just has this naive happiness and it's passing and fleeting and going to go away. But it's the opposite of that. It was, you know, I'm the weirdo for reminiscing about Boethius when I'm supposed to be having a good time bowling. And he was like the perfect flowering of that moment. He was everything a bowling night out with friends should be. And the glory of God was in it. And it's enabled by eternal memory. The fact that God makes this world and made it so that this little random corner in the middle of backwoods nowhere in this old bowling alley where nobody's doing anything humanly special, competitively special, yet it was cosmically special. Yet it had eternal beauty in it. Eternal beauty was there, and it had every potential. I don't know what was going on in him and whether he was communing with it appropriately or not, but it had all the readiness and potential to be a facet of the infinite glory of God, a facet of eternal memory, of the eternal bejeweled kingdom of heaven. It was one scintillating spark within that, and God has the capacity for infinite memory for all those little gems, and that was one of those moments that was welcomed there and blossomed there. And so it was like Boethius conquers pride, and Boethius should conquer pride, and everything about Boethius that he offers is there and appropriate and true and good for conquering pride. But infinite joy, pure joy, true joy conquers the meditation on insignificance, the truths of insignificance of Boethius. Eternal memory and the eternal giving, sharing of glory from God conquers our insignificance. Our insignificance is something for us to bring ourselves down a notch when we're fixating on the wrong reason for our specialness. But our specialness and glory and beauty is there because of infinite beauty. And so the infinite beauty conquers the melodramatic musing of Boethius at a bowling alley. So there you go. That's how Boethius and bowling meet. And I thought that was fun and beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please take a look around the channel, poke around some old videos, and it would really help if you give the ones you like a share. I appreciate it. Leave a like, comment, and stay tuned for more. God bless.